One of the things that you were ordered to do in this lawsuit, you were ordered to turn over any text messages mentioning Sandy Hook, right?
Yes.
And you didn't have any, right?
Not that we could find.
And you in fact told me in your testimony, sworn testimony before coming to this courtroom, you searched, right?
I did.
Okay. That's text messages between you and Paul Watson, isn't it?
Yes.
And they mention Sandy Hook, don't they?
Yes. I've never seen this text message. I guess you guys got Paul's. My phone didn't save them.
Can I have you look in the very bottom below the very bottom left corner? Is that your phone number?
Yes. So you did get my text messages. And it said you didn't. Nice trick.
Yes, Mr. Jones.
Oh.
Indeed. You didn't give this text message to me. You don't know where this came from. Do you know where I got this?
No.
Mr. Jones, did you know that 12 days ago, your attorneys messed up and sent me an entire digital copy of your entire cell phone with every text message you've sent for the past 2 years, and when informed, did not take any steps to identify it as privileged or protect it in any way. And as of 2 days ago, it fell free and clear into my possession. And that is how I know you lied to me when you said you didn't have text messages about Sandy Hook. Mr. Jones, in discovery, you were asked, do you have Sandy Hook text messages on your phone? And you said no, correct? You said that under oath, Mr. Jones, didn't you?
I mean, if I was mistaken, but you got the messages right there.
You know what perjury is, right? I just want to make sure you know before we go any further. You know what it is.
All right. So to give some context to this video clip, Phil, this is during Alex Jones' defamation case, where the parents of the victims of Sandy Hook are suing Alex Jones for defamation for basically going on a show, making claims that it was a manufactured event, the parents are crisis actors, or it was a government job, etc.
Yeah.
During this process, basically what the lawyer is saying, the prosecuting lawyer is saying, is that during the discovery process where, you know, both sides are supposed to exchange all relevant evidence towards the case, he was asked if he had Sandy Hook related text on his phone. He answered no under oath, hence the question, like, do you know what perjury is? But basically what he's claiming, the prosecuting lawyer, what he's claiming is that the defense lawyer sent him a complete copy of his phone, and that's where he got that text message from. Like, I think the best part is how, like, when he's like, your lawyer sent this to me, he's pointing at his lawyer, and the guy's just chilling there. Yeah, let's watch it.
And when informed, did not take any steps to identify it as privileged or protect it in any way. And as of 2 days ago, it fell free and clear into my possession. And that is how I know you lied to me.
The guy's just sitting there chilling. He's like, maybe if I don't move, I won't get in trouble. So this case actually just ended. The judgment is that Alex Jones is liable for $45 million in damages. And this was a couple of parents, a couple groups of parents that filed this suit together. This thought kind of occurred to me. If I do something wrong and I wrong someone and I lose in a civil court, why is the amount that I'm liable for scale depending on how wealthy I am? Like, Jeff Bezos' wife divorced him, and she made bank. Like, it was ridiculous. And I'm kind of like, why does it scale like so much, like, if you're wealthy? I don't know. You could argue that, like, hey, what's the purpose of punishing somebody? Purpose is that they should have to undergo some sort of hardship. If you just fine Jeff Bezos like $1 million for, you know, doing whatever, or Alex Jones $1 million for doing whatever, then it's like, well, they're not really going to learn their lesson. Like, they're not going to stop, because it's more financially smart to keep pushing that narrative and, like, bolster up his audience. I was trying to figure out like if there's any like justifiable reason why Alex Jones had held these beliefs. It was kind of weird because I expected the defense attorney to like kind of make this argument for me, but when I was watching his closing statement, like the only thing I got was like a mention of a CNN misreporting on the body count. So like the body count was one day this, and then they changed it the next day. This trial, Phil, it's not to determine whether he's guilty or not. They've already decided that he was guilty of defamation. So this trial, the whole purpose was to decide how much he was guilty of.
Oh, okay.
So it makes sense to make the argument that like, hey, CNN misreported on some information. Alex Jones just got it in his head that, hey, this is a manufactured event because what they're saying changes from day to day. It's like, it's just not adding up. That makes sense to me. And I probably would have made that argument, but I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to know. The thing with Alex Jones is I think he just needs to be on medication. He's brilliant, but it's just going in all directions. He'll tell you in interviews that he'll spend all day just on the computer reading documents. You can't ever get out of your head. And the problem is, and then there's things that he supposedly was correct on. Now, I don't know. I don't remember this. I heard this on the Joe Rogan show, but the billionaire who had the sex island, that was something that
Epstein.
Yeah, Epstein. Alex Jones was talking about for years and years, supposedly.
Yeah.
Maybe that was just a good guess. I don't know. It's like, oh, there's a billionaire. Yep. They do horrible things.
Well, Jeffrey Epstein, he was arrested in some period before 2017 for like some like prostitution charge, I want to say, and then the DA like gave him like a very favorable conclusion. I think I remember. If you looked into it enough, you probably would have kind of figured out like, hey, there's something going on with Epstein. It kind of got me thinking, Phil, like what sounds crazy can be normalized very quickly if the mainstream media starts talking about it. So if you, like a couple years ago, if you said, hey, these very wealthy elites are flying to this island and having sex with kids, I would have been like, yeah, you're probably bonkers. But now we're like, we've all accepted it. We're like, yeah. So let me ask you this, Phil. What Alex Jones was saying about Sandy Hook, is that protected free speech?
It probably is.
So what's your stance on that? Is it like, you have free speech, but you're not free of consequences, and this is the consequence?
I suppose so. Yeah, I'm a pretty big free speech advocate.
Because, like, obviously there are lines, like, I can't say, oh, I'm going to go kill somebody or whatever like that. Even though people on the internet do it all the time, that is actually a crime.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be able to directly threaten a person.
Right. There's kind of like a gray area. I don't know if it's just because we can't police it, but if I send a death threat to a random person across the internet, I'm probably going to be fine. But if I mail a death threat to somebody in a letter, specific address, it's probably going to come back to bite me in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder kind of like how Alex Jones got to this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch him, he has a lot of tendencies, but I mean, he is very, very obsessive.
We do kind of think about like, I mean, he has employees who are all like, in the same, probably similar mindset, and then he's trying to build an audience, and they're all like similar mindset, like everything's a conspiracy and all that. And my guess is that it just like becomes a vicious cycle that reinforces itself.
Yeah.
So why do you think people get into conspiracy theories?
Well, it gives us an identity.
Does it?
Yeah. If we're fighting conspiracies, we've got the enemy, we've got our group. I think that's a lot of it. I think it's also because there's always a chance that they could be true. Most of them have a chance of being true.
You can't really disprove one.
Yeah.
Like you can't disprove that it's not. You can't prove that it's not happening.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And my thought is that maybe people who are, I would say probably one of two things, or maybe both. Somebody who is isolated from other people, and somebody who is dissatisfied with where they are in life. Basically, you give them somebody to blame for where they are in life. That gives them like this ability to vent. Like, oh, I can't get ahead because, deep state is behind the curtain pulling the strings and making my life difficult. And then if you have that isolation on top of that, now I'm not talking to normal people. Like, I can't bounce my ideas off of a normal person.
Uh-huh.
So where do you go? You go to like 4chan or wherever Reddit conspiracy subreddits.
Yeah.
And you talk to like-minded people.
Yeah.
And then you both like feed off of each other's like emotions, dissatisfaction of where they are in life, and it just keeps building on top of itself.
Yeah, and I think one really important thing you're saying is that the way that we figure out most of the things that we believe is that we talk to people about them.
Mm-hmm.
And so usually we'll have a general concept, but it doesn't really get sharpened down into ideas until we begin to talk to people about it.
Also from like life experiences.
Yeah. So yeah, who you go and talk to, if you go and talk to people who all just agree with you already, then you've got a problem. Because you're just going to be told what you want, and reality doesn't actually care what you want or run off what you want.
Yeah. I see a lot of memes on Reddit, Phil, where basically it's like people having arguments with themselves, and they paint this image of who they're arguing against, and Reddit's pretty liberal, so it's usually Republican, and they say, oh, they stand for all these things, dumb idiot. I'm like, you just had an argument with yourself, and like all arguments that you have with yourself, you managed to win it. And I'm like, this is like the most non-productive thing I've ever seen. It's just like this weird thing that happens.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think like when I was younger, that kind of stuff would get me excited and be like, yeah, we showed them, but like it's not even real.
You're simplifying those ideas down to such a degree that you're not really having any understanding of why that person believes that.
Yeah, and I think that's why podcasting has taken off so much. Like, you look at people like Joe Rogan, who had Alex Jones on his show. I'm assuming, like, had him build his case and tell him why he believes what he believes. And I'm sure Joe agreed with some things that he said, but not others. And you can at least find some common ground there. Yeah,
I remember him. I watched all the episodes of him going on Joe's show. They were really interesting.
Yeah.
That was kind of my first experience with Alex Jones, actually.
What stuck out to you?
He talks at people. He's like this. I have a lot of friends. It's very much like what you were saying earlier. They're not attempting to hear what you have to say. That has nothing to do with the conversation. They're attempting to tell you the way things are.
Right. As you're talking, they're already thinking of what they're going to say next.
Yeah. You're not interacting with somebody. They think they are. They think they're having some meaningful interaction because, hey, look, I'm interacting with this person. Oh, well, they believe everything I believe.
Yeah.
And the other person's just there. They're just like, okay, whatever. Like, yeah, I tried talking. You didn't listen. So
what do you think we can learn from this Alex Jones case, Phil?
I think we've got to do something that most people will not like. We have to think that what he did was very bad, and then we have to think that he probably needs some help.
That's kind of opposite of what probably most people would say, in that they don't want to help him. They just want to make fun of him.
Yeah, mercy is tough, especially when you think about those parents. I mean, really tough for them. They've had their child killed, and then they have this guy telling lies about them. Yeah, I think what's most important is to go to each situation as a separate thing and not try to just pull one situation into another, but try to look at each situation separately and see if you go, hey, what's going on here? And I think we've talked about this before. It's probably most important to be really humble about it and just be like, you know what, maybe I don't know anything about it.
Oh, yeah. Like, not starting with the answer, but trying to gather enough information that you feel you can make an informed decision about what happened. All right, let's wrap it up there. Hey guys, let us know what you think in the comments. Do you think the jury should have taken more? What do you think of Alex Jones? Do you think Joe Rogan should have had him on his podcast? Let us know in the comments. See ya.